Let's go, let's go, let's go. Second live stream of the day. I don't think I've ever done that before. First time for everything, huh? We popping cherries out here now. Second live stream. Cherish the luxury of time. This is a big one, people. Big things are going when we talk about the absolute luxury of time. Very, very big topic. Because to me, how I see it, that's what wealth is all about. Real wealth is about utilizing that form of currency, whatever it is you get, right? And then you use that to buy time. To me, that's the truest form of freedom. When you have time to do whatever it is you want without time restrictions, yeah, that's it right there. That's freedom. That's real wealth. That's true freedom. So, like, if you're able to see the thumbnail, you'll see, right? There's like an Air India plane in the background with the Indian flag. And it's like, you know, in my own personal business, right? My folks are going to India, right? I would love to go there. Love to spend time with them there. But unfortunately, and like I wouldn't suggest anyone speak about their financial situations, because if I'm well off, you're not gonna hear me speak about or brag about how well off I am. At the most, you may hear me just say, I'm good. You hear me say I'm good? Trust and believe I'm good. But when I'm not good, you might hear me speak a little bit more about it. You know, I'm tired right now. Been up and about, moving around, fasting. So I'm pooped, worn out. But I did want to put this out there before I called it a night, you know? And that's related to this topic, which I think is important. If you're not in a situation where, you know, you still have to be able to get somewhere, because honestly, a lot of people in life, they don't ever really get there, unfortunately. Because if you look at the odds, percentage-wise, we're talking about like 1% of the population are actually wealthy. Like truly wealthy. So flip that. 99% are kind of messed up in the game. That's sad. So I took it upon myself recently. And when I say recently, I mean like it's been some years Like, I vowed to not be messed up for the rest of my life. So, financial freedom is extremely important. And I think it's important to talk about because if you are not aiming to be part of that 1% or not be a part of the 99%, I don't think you'll ever truly experience what wealth is all about, which is, in my humble opinion, the luxury of time, which is true freedom. Because if you have time, if you can buy time with that wealth, think about the anxiety that goes down. Think about the cortisol. Obviously, sleep will help even more. But if you have time to do the things you want to do, imagine the relief you feel. So, anyone who is well off, who has that level of financial freedom, cherish it. You know, if you stumble upon this live stream and you're watching me speak about how blessed and fortunate you are, if you are in that position, make sure you cherish that of which you have, because wealth is something you should utilize for the right reasons, like spending time with your family because you have the time to be able to do it because you can buy that time. Think about how powerful that is. You know, that is an amazing thing to be able to enjoy. Like, you don't have to slave yourself, you know, for ridiculous amounts of hours and not spend time with your family, because you have the means to be able to afford whatever schedule you want to create, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. So, me, I'm thinking about, you know, as you see in the thumbnail, like, I have these visions, like, of where you know, I'm not necessarily trying to, you know, like most people want to travel the globe, right? They want to go wherever. Me personally, that's awesome. I think most people would like to do that. But like I said earlier in this live stream, you know, my folks are going there, and I'm not in a position to be able to spend that time with them, you know? Because I do genuinely think there are levels to reach. And you know, so, like, people might say, well, you know, you're going to lose time. Like, if you're constantly thinking about, you know, you have to get somewhere, then you're you're not going to be able to get to do things right now. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely true. However, I just have a tunnel vision in thinking to myself goal wise. And usually, you know, when you're looking forward because you can't actually see the future, we don't have a crystal ball where we know what's going to happen, right? And a lot of the times it doesn't ever happen when we want it to happen, right? Especially when it revolves around goals like financial freedom. But I do, in my head, have tunnel vision to think I will, in fact, be free and financially independent so that I can afford the luxury of time. Like I can buy time or at least have it favor the things I want to do as far as scheduling is concerned. So, with that being said, I choose to remain stoic, focused, driven, and not let up. You know, my foot is on the neck of these goals, and I refuse to let up until I get to that place. You know, this to me, this is like there was a time when getting abs was such a mystery to me. You know, it was like, how do they do that? How do they get their definition like that? What are they taking? But I was determined. And when I finally figured it out, I said, I am good because I lost it. And then I got it again, and I lost it, and I got it again. But each time I was determined. And I said, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to maintain it. And that's what happened. Now it's like I perpetually have abs, you know? And that took me a long time to figure out. And then when I finally got it, it was like, I got this, you know? All this like diamonds on my body. I'm not losing them again. And that's how I look at financial freedom. It's like, I'm going to keep at it and keep at it. And then once it's at a certain level, I'm not letting go. I'm only going to make sure it's being maintained. And I continue to stay at a high level and build upon that. And for better or worse, that stoic, stubborn tunnel vision to be able to make sure, you know, we get there. Nobody said it'd be easy, you know? And there are a lot of visions as far as the things I would love to make happen and get done right now, but the time is not right, you know? So that trip, getting on that plane, see the flag waving in the background, my folks going there, and, you know, unfortunately, me not being able to accompany them, the time is not right. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? You know, if they're no longer around, am I going to then say to myself, damn, you know, if I would have just spent that time with them? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to beat myself up to be like, you were so stoic and so stubborn with tunnel vision that you know, you missed out on opportunities. No, because the goals at hand are that important to me, you know? So, because I do genuinely think accomplishing the goals will open up more opportunities regardless of what happens, you know? And that's the reality. And being able to have that mindset, you know, they say opportunity only knocks once, right? You only get one shot, right? Like the song goes. However, I think to a focused person who stays with it, I don't think you have one shot. I think you have a lot of different opportunities. They may not be the same exact opportunity, but along the same path, you're going to have plenty of options as long as you stay driven, you stay determined, and you stay along that path. You're going to get many shots. And that's how I see it. And there's a difference between someone staying determined and on path and focused, and you know, you're kind of like positioning yourself to where these things favor you, as opposed to if you're just screwing around and like you're not focused and you're just kind of letting time go by. That's different. Then yeah, then you're probably not going to get those opportunities because time is being wasted as opposed to time being utilized productively. Two separate things. So I'm leaning heavily towards the camp of utilizing time productively. And if that's the case and you remain determined, you stay focused and on that path of productivity, you don't you don't have to worry. It's going to work out, you know? And yeah, it might be a form of blind faith, but shoot, I'll be damned if, I don't believe in myself, because I do. And being able to do that has continued to get me a, a lot of things accomplished against every odd and against all these different failures that happened, and still accomplishing them, regardless of how many times you stumble or fall down. It's what you do when you get up, you know? Do you get up and do you quit, or do you get up and fight even harder towards those goals? I'm the one that gets up and I make sure I go at it even stronger. Doesn't matter how many times I fail. Because if I let go or if I quit, hey, then you're not going to find out. But if you're determined, no matter what, doesn't matter how many times you fail forward, you know? So, regardless of the vision of traveling to this place or whatever it is that I may have in my mind that I would love to do, if the time is not right, they're just they're just fleeting visions for the time being. But when the time is right, best believe we're gonna make it happen. I'll probably put it on live streams. I'll probably record them on shorts. I do the same thing I do here every day and give my thoughts on them, you know? Because that's kind of like what this channel was all about. I don't just because you see me going throughout the Bronx or Yonkers, Westchester, New York City, etc. Yeah, I might know these places. A lot of them I don't even know. So if I'm going to other places where I know nothing about, I do the same thing, you know? But I want to be in a position where I'm relatively stress free. My anxiety is down. I'm extremely happy, financially free, healthy, just genuinely happy, you know? And that you'll know because however healthy I may be right now, I'll be that much healthier because that inner anxiety will be released. It will be gone. Like no shrink needed, you know, no therapist needed. So that's why I think for the people that do have it right now, cherish it, because the luxury of time is no joke. It should not be taken for granted. It's something that, you know, it's like probably, in my opinion, one of the most powerful things a person can have. You know, it truly is. That's what I define real wealth to be and true freedom. And when you have that, yeah, next level, you know. But that's really it. Yeah, this one took a little longer. Usually I get my point across in like 10 minutes or so. This one took about 20. And, you know, I think I made my point. And the visions, timing is not correct right now for them to be manifested currently at the present moment. It's just not the time. But when the time comes, oh man, I can't wait, you know? And until then, I'll remain diligent, stay focused, and continue to have that tunnel vision until it has materialized. And it will manifest because I'm not just sitting around to try and, think to myself, it's going to eventually happen. How? I don't know. No, I'm working diligently every day to make it happen. If someone was to ask me, "Oh, you're working every day to make it happen, how?" I'll tell you how. It's my everyday habits. You know, I work at it. It's not how much money I make, it's how much money I save, it's how much money I spend. That's how. It's the frugal habits on a day to day basis. It's what I do every single day that enables me to make sure these goals happen, you know? Because there are so many distractions on a day to day basis where you can easily, because we all have vices, right? So to be able to ward off those vices and not allow them to veer you off path, those are major accomplishments. And I'm doing that. So that's how. So it's inevitable. It shall pay off because I work too hard for it not to, you know? I hope this inspires someone, and I appreciate everyone who checked in. And until the next time.